And although people don't know about you in this very moment, the world would know soon. That's how you have to look at it. That's how I look at it on certain things. Like, it's cool, okay, but just keep going. Eventually, it's gonna happen.
That's all.
You just have to keep going, and it has to be within to know, like, in a humble way.
Bro, I'm just gonna dab you up real quick and say, what's up, brother? How you been?
Bro, I'm good.
Blessed, living. And you know, today's chat, guys, I decided to focus it around temptation around events and things that are going on in life. You know, the fear of missing out, which we call FOMO. And I think it's a perfect conversation because, like I said earlier, it's a event season out here in Arizona. And it can be real easy for a lot of us guys to get into the routine of just always doing something every weekend. You know, living a very fast-paced life. And when you have a lot of these big events happening in, you know, a big city, obviously, where people come, this is the hub for people to come around this time of year. It's easy to get in the mix of, you know, always going out, always having a drink. And I think, you know, with all that being fun and whatnot, I do think we need to have some sense of just grounding and just understanding of, like, what are we really building off of and continuing to grow into? Is it to go out and to have fun, or are we building for something more? So, Julian, I just wanted to start the conversation off with you, man. And how do you usually attack your weekends? Like, what's your mindset when it comes to, you know, getting prepared for a Saturday and Sunday, which majority people usually have off for, you know, corporate America jobs. But like, how do you usually mentally prepare or like build your weekends off as a man?
Yeah, it really varies, honestly. For sure, I'm gonna be in the gym. Like, that's without a doubt.
You build around it.
Yeah. So I build around the gym because, like you said, those are the days you have off, so you have ample time. But I think the key thing that you said is, you know, you can get in a space of, when I say you, just in general, we can get in a space of just as people, there are so many different events going on. There's so much going on. You kind of do have to delegate, like, when you're going to, like, do certain things, or it could become a rotation of you just doing something every weekend, which is very real. So for me, I think it's really, really just locking into, like, knowing and being conscientious of, like, goals.
Yeah.
Like, in the sense of there's always going to be something going on, but internally, how are you going to feel? Because you can be busy but not accomplishing anything.
That's true.
And sometimes people, they get fixated on, like, doing things, but when you get back in the crib, have you really accomplished anything? Or are you moving forward within your goals and your aspirations in life? So that's just kind of like how I gauge and look at things, to where it's like, okay, yeah, there are events and things going on, and it's cool. We're for sure going to go out and do things.
Yeah.
But the most important thing to me is aspirations and goals and just evolution, like evolving and growing. That takes precedence. So there are going to be times to where it's like, nah, just not going out, not doing certain things, because there's real things that are trying to get accomplished. So it's an internal thing, but I think it's a balance. It's about an internal balance of how you go about it.
No, I like what you said right there. And I think, you know, everyone's weekends or like preparation for what's going to be done on their 2 off days, we'll say, if it's not a weekend, it comes down to what you focus a lot of your time and attention on. You know, I think for both of us, fitness is just an area in our life that we would put at the top of our pillars when it's coming down to like the foundational blocks of living, because it takes care of a lot of other things in our life that allows us to do certain things, feel a type of way, or just even look a type of way. So I think it really, like you mentioned, comes to just understanding what are your goals, like what are you really trying to accomplish in this case 2026 in the month of February, since that's kind of where we're at right now. It's wild to think about. And I think it's a perspective shift where you look at how fast 2025 went, and in a blink of an eye, we're going to be in March, right? That's 3 months into the year. That's almost a quarter. It's like, does it really make sense to always be doing something every Friday and Saturday, or every Saturday? Like, I mean, I don't know. Some people would argue yes, right? We'll talk about the people that are in the entertainment lifestyle and just, you know, that's what their work calls for. That's cool and all. But I think for the rest of us that, you know, live different lives, and they don't always have to be accustomed to living out that expectation of being outside at certain times, or just being around alcohol. It's one thing to think about, especially when you get to, you know, a later part of your life, because then it starts to matter. You know, I think at 20 to 23 years old, I would even argue 25, you have some leeway, some flexibility with, you know, always going to bed at 3 a.m., 4 a.m., being outside, like the college lifestyle. We'll talk about that.
Sure,
like, it's just crazy how we operate. But yeah, bro, I just think, you know, at this point in my life, I would agree with you on fitness is number one. If I can get the fitness in there somehow, whether it's, you know, a game, whether it's working out, I just think that allows me to do other things like, hey, I'm going to attack groceries on Friday. So that way Saturday, if I just want to chill in the crib and read or do some research or build a brand, like I can feel good about doing that. But if your mindset's always on something else, I would question, is that something you really want to be doing in that time?
Yeah. I mean, and I think one of the most important things is as like, because with age, we're supposed to be getting better. You're not supposed to get worse with age.
Yeah,
you're supposed to get better. But there is a time to where, like, specifically for men, when you have to realize, like, yo, everything is on you. You have to take ownership of your life.
Definitely.
And you can get caught in the rapture of just going out. And like you said, we're already in February. February is the shortest month in the year.
Yeah, it's true.
Then we're going to be in March. Time flies. So one can look up and be like, man, a year and a half went by and I have nothing to speak for it. I didn't do anything. I just went out.
That's real right there. Yeah.
And it's like, man, the reality is sacrifice has to come into play. And this is irregardless of age. It's an internal thing. What are you willing to sacrifice to get what you want? In regards to sacrificing going out, sacrificing being around women, sacrificing just certain pleasures or certain things. What are you willing to sacrifice? Because there's certain people who are doing that.
That's true.
They're doing it and they're getting into spaces or their opportunities are manifesting because of it. But when you don't see certain people, it's like, man, I haven't seen such and such. And it's like, well, they might be sacrificing to get to their goals, to get to their aspirations. So it's really an internal thing. You know, what are you willing to sacrifice and what do you really want? And do you want it that bad?
That's what it comes down to. Like, how bad do you really want it?
Because oftentimes if we were to, it would be hard to get a synopsis or a poll of this. But if one were to see, for the people that just go out, if we just say a specific area, how many people are there just for the pure enjoyment, or how many people are there because they're trying to fill a void or fill time because they're not on their path or they're not on their purpose, and it's a Friday night and it's a Saturday night and there are no really other plans that they have, so they're just going out. But it's aimlessly going out. When they get back to the crib, only they know how they're going to feel. But it might be a feeling of like not being accomplished, or internally knowing like, man, I'm playing around with time, or like, you know, it's an internal thing. So it's like, it's a very, very real thing that only somebody can really internalize and look at themselves in the mirror and be like, man, I'm playing around. Yeah. And oftentimes that's what it is when it's just aimlessly going out. And don't get me wrong, we're supposed to enjoy life. We're supposed to have like good times and things like that. But when it becomes habitual and other things in life aren't evolving, then it starts to look like, you're playing around.
Yeah, I'd agree, bro. And I think that's why the big conversation that's getting around social right now is like the club culture is dying, and people talking about how like going out, the nightlife culture, whatever you want to call it, is just it's not fun anymore. Like it's not fun to go out, have drinks at night. And you know, a lot of people can talk about, well, it's the people, well, it's one thing. It's just, you know, certain people aren't going there anymore. Certain people are going for certain reasons. But I really think it comes down to the foundation of people are going out to feel more time than going out because they just had a great week or they just had, I would even say it's okay if you had a long week and you're like, you know what, I need to decompress, have a few drinks and just be around good vibes, good people. Whereas now I think we've gotten so used to just being so busy, adding more to our plate to where we do have a night to ourselves. It's like, well, I'm not going to just sit in peace because that's not normal.
Or it could be loud.
Right, exactly. And it's like, okay, well, I need to get outside where I feel more comfortable because there's just chaos everywhere. And some people, they function off that, bro. And you really put people like that. And I would say like early 20s, I was probably always wanting to be in that type of like mentality and environment. But you put people like that in a room where nothing's going on, they're going to kind of freak out a little bit. Kind of like relapse in a sense is a way to describe it. It's just certain people and guys can only move off of chaotic environments. And that's not good, because then how do you process information and how are you able to make the decision of like, okay, critically thinking, does this make sense for me in a long term?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the reality is it's an internal thing, and only somebody can recognize that for themselves in regards to when they go out. And again, truthfully, if we just want to be very, very elementary about it, going out is a celebratory action. Right. So when you go out, it's really like, technically, what are you celebrating? So if you're going out constantly, if there are times to celebrate, but then there's times to lock in.
Right. Yeah.
And I look at it like when you go out and you've accomplished, or like you said, you've had a hard week, or you've accomplished certain things, you've persevered, you've accomplished certain goals that you've had, and then you go out and celebrate, it hits way different.
Yeah,
It's a way
for
better
sure.
feeling. But when one is going, I think everybody's been in this space possibly of just going out because there's nothing else to do, so I'm gonna just go
Right.
out. It's an internal thing. You can still be out, but you know, like there've been times, I'll be very honest, there've been times I've been out and I've been like, I shouldn't even have come outside. That's just a very honest
Yeah,
take.
for
And
sure.
I think everybody's been in that space to where it's like, man, I know I could be doing, I could be reading right now.
Yeah.
Or I could be working towards this goal. Or something happens while you're out and you're like, man, I should have stayed in the crib. Or I could have been in the gym. Or we could have been, you could be with your boy or the homies and you're just kicking it at the crib, watching the game, or you know what I mean? Just fellowshipping, however it is.
Yeah.
There have been times where I've been like, man, this wasn't even worth it. And so I think it's an internal thing to where you start to recognize and realize like, this doesn't really make sense if life or aspirations or if goals aren't being accomplished. Because what's it really doing? It's just
Right.
filling a void, or it's just filling time that time could be utilized in a different way, in a more productive space. So I think it's a very internal thing that one has to resonate with, but sometimes people just bypass that and they just use that going out as filling that void. There's so many different nuances to it, but I would say like there's a time and place for it, but it's way better when you go out when you're accomplishing goals or when you're celebrating because you've hit a milestone or you've accomplished something. But just aimlessly going out constantly, after a while, it's going to get boring.
It's gonna, someone's fuse is gonna run out. And I think what's funny is I've met, and I'm sure guys have gone through this too, is what like they make a new friend, right? Where they meet like a potential homie, and the only thing that makes sense is to go out, right? Like they both work, they both have pretty busy schedules, and the only thing that makes sense is, hey, Friday night, free, let's go have a few drinks. And then you keep doing that. And I think it's so important because, again, everything ties back to just a version of just meeting people. So it ties to women, it ties to men. The way you meet somebody is usually how you're going to be for the first few months of your guys' relationship, regardless of what it's a friendship or whatnot. And I think that's why it's so important, man. Like the people that you meet, in this case, as guys, meeting other friends or peers or whatever you want to call them, knowing that they have an understanding of what you want to do with your life.
For sure.
And like having that conversation early of like, yo, bro, like what is it that you want to get done this year? Like if this is really going to be a friendship, we don't need to do all this, like, what's your favorite color type thing? Like, well, let's get to the real stuff. Like what can I help you build or what can you help me build? And let's attack it together. Yeah. Because we keep spending every Saturday night out in Scottsdale. We're going to look back 2 years from now and be 35. And it's like, we're barely starting now. We could have been ahead.
For sure.
We could have been celebrating now. Absolutely. You know what I'm saying? So I think a lot of that comes down to the intention of, all right, does this make sense to do? Or does it make more sense for us to, let's take a different direction. Let's take the opposite side of the pathway and let's build something. Absolutely. And fellowship is real, bro. Like sitting inside, I agree with you, sitting inside and watching a fight, watching a game, and just being around good people, that's building a foundation of trust and relationships that once it gets to a point to, let's just say, since we're all creators, right, in our group, we get to the moment to where we're out doing some type of production. We all don't need to think like, oh, is Julian going to bring his best today? Am I going to bring my best today? It's like, no. We're all in here for us.
Absolutely.
And that's the only way you can build.
Absolutely. And I think there are times, truthfully, and we've done this too. Like, I mean, there are places you can go, you can create, just because you go out, like you can curate how you want to go out.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to just be the club or the bar. Like we've gone to rooftops. There's and I'm not gonna name spots, but we've been to some smooth spots to where it's like, now we're chilling for real.
Yeah.
Rooftop vibes, great scenery, great vibes. It's calm, it's relaxed. That's going out and leaving out fulfilled because of the conversations that we've had, because of the environment that we're in. So you can curate how you go out.
For
you
sure.
can still go out. And I think at a certain point with maturity, with evolving, you do shift on how you go out.
Yeah.
Like certain spots I'm just not going to. Just because it's like, I don't want people bumping into me. I'm not with that. So it's like, nah, we're going to do stuff that's smooth, that's calm. It's going out, but you're curating how you're going out now.
Right.
And I think that's just with maturity, with aspirations too, and also leveling up. You just maneuver a little bit differently. So the way that you go out too also matters.
Yeah.
It's a plethora of different things because you could also go out a little bit more, but you're building when you go out. You're going to certain spaces. When you're with your boys, you're having conversations about certain endeavors and certain aspirations. So when you leave, you're still on your path. You're still on your purpose. It's a balance, but you can still do it.
Yeah,
But just
definitely.
going out to certain spots to where it's just a lot of rah-rah and stuff going on, I mean, is that fulfilling? I would say no. There could be cool elements to it, but a repetition of that, what does that do for you? So I think at a certain time and place with maturity, you start to curate how you want to go out and spots you go to. And I think that's what matters more. How are you going out? What are you doing when you go out? Who are you with when you go out? That, to me, that hits a little bit more in regards to like framing just nightlife or going out, things like that. So I would say that too, just curating how you go out and how you go about it.
Yeah, for sure. It's it comes back to intention, bro. Like you talk about, I think regardless of the place that you choose, is it the right vibe to sit back and still attack having conversations about, things that you're trying to accomplish? I remember there was a time where we went out to that rooftop bar and we were just talking about just, everything and anything about podcast ideas, about, your music, about just things that just, I feel like brought new inspiration and creativity. So that way we're able to leave that. And I think a lot of people don't understand this, but I think as somebody who is, both of us being creatively inclined, every time we go out and step out, not necessarily just nightlife, it's an inspirational aspect of it where you're just pulling from things and like keeping a mood board in your head of like, oh, I like what he was wearing. Oh, I like that song that I heard. Like, how can I apply this into a conversation or a new song or just a new beat or rhythm, like whatever it is. And I think when I shifted my mindset to that a couple of years ago of like, anything can be a learning lesson if you let it be. You know what I'm saying? I think it's the same thing with church. Like just because you don't like the sermon doesn't mean that there's not a message for you to really pull and try to be present for. So, with all that being said, I think again, if a guy and any guys out there that are just looking to really do a switch and get uncomfortable for a little bit and just say, look, I'm going to switch up how I'm going out and what the intention behind it is. I would really just dive into applying it to what makes sense for your goals and for the things that you're doing, because it's not something where you need to be inside every single day. Like that's not what we're saying. It's something that just be mindful of you going out and you having, 8 drinks compared to having 2 drinks and still being able to go home and wake up for a morning run. Everyone's timeline looks different, but I wanted to get into a couple of these questions that I got. And I think, we can kind of go into a conversation with that. But the question that I want to ask you, Julian, is do you actually enjoy being outside or do you just hate being alone with your thoughts? Which we talked a little bit about, but
again, I think it just depends on where that outside is for me, because I have no problem being by myself. And I think there's a difference between being by yourself and being alone.
Yes.
What I mean? I think you need, specifically men, we need times of being alone. That doesn't mean you're lonely. It just means you're alone. You need that. You need to mind. And we've spoken about that. You need to go down and mind and be by yourself and refine yourself, whether that be hitting the gym, working out, reading, just working on yourself. And then you can come out, you can come up, you can go out, you can do certain things, but you need a space of just solitude. That's real. That's really where growth comes from. Yeah. Is that solitude. But, and this all ties into the conversation, that's a reason why people go out, because that quietness is loud. Silence is loud. That's why sometimes people say, I just need a little bit of noise when I'm going to sleep. Yeah. I need to hear something, because silence is piercing. It's loud. It's very loud. You're going to hear all of your thoughts. You're going to think about things. That's why people go out, because the void of just, I need to be around. I just need to get around something, but you're running. You can't run from it. You're trying to hide, but you can't. Sure. You're just exacerbating the feeling. Yeah. Because now you're out and you're knowing like, I know I need to be doing this. I know I need to be doing this to further my life, my career, my body, my look. But you're outside and you're feeling internally. It's all internally. You're like, man, I know I'm not. I should be in the crib working. Yeah. So the reality is, again, to answer the question, for me, I love being by myself. I love it. And then, I think about this also too as well. I travel a lot by myself too. internationally. So that has a whole new spectrum to just the internal part of what that's doing.
Yeah.
If I'm in a different country, there's nobody I can rely to go hang out with. Like, it's on me. I have to figure out what I'm going to do, whether it's entertainment or whether it's going and sightseeing or whether it's educational or what, like everything, it falls on me. So then when I come back to the States, it's like I've gone and done a hard test, and now I'm back in a more simplistic environment. It's kind of easy. But one, I would just say, just to end it, challenge yourself in the sense of doing something to whereas if it's outside the norm for men, outside the norm, because what that's going to do is that's going to help you to alleviate feeling like you need to fill the void of going out or being around people or hitting somebody up because you just need to be around somebody.
Yeah.
No, the reality is you can't run from it. You can constantly keep doing that, but you're just exacerbating the situation and making it louder. Whereas if you were to just challenge yourself and be okay with the silence, be okay with just being by yourself, you'll start to get better. You'll start to realize like, oh, you know what? I can do certain, you just figure it out. So no, again, curating how you go and how we go out, that's one element, but being by myself or being by oneself, that's perfectly fine. I'm perfectly fine with it.
And I think you've put yourself in practice to be really good at it. You know what I'm saying? And I think the biggest point to take from there is, like you said, is not confusing being lonely to being alone.
Absolutely.
Because I know we talked a little bit about it off camera, but you know, there's a loneliness pandemic amongst men right now. You know, I listened to a podcast and talked for an hour and a half about just how guys struggle, like, and tie it back to a question that I answered last week of, you know, if you're struggling with something, you got to talk to somebody, man, because that ties into the whole loneliness pandemic that us as guys are going through. And it's not cool. It really isn't. But I get it to an extent to where there would be times where I'd always want to be around people, especially when I first moved out here. I didn't know anyone. I was kind of going through a transitional phase with, you know, my personality. And that's just evolution. You know, you're growing into something better, and being inside alone is just, it's uncomfortable, to say the least. It's uncomfortable. But I remember even now, man, like and it's nothing bad. I don't want my parents or family to think it's a knock on them, but there's times when I go see my sister in Florida and my nephew, and we're all there as a family, and I'm there for like 6 or 7 days. After day 4 or 5, I'm like, man, I just miss being in my home and in my own space, and just, you know, just being quiet. And I love you, mom and dad and sis, but I think we all just need our time of just being at peace, being with your thoughts, being able to process things to a different element to where you can think about things that you just did the day before, right? Like it's a self-evaluation. We do it all the time in sports. You know, we watch film the next day.
Very true.
We watch film by ourselves the next day, because the way you watch film with somebody else is not the way you're going to see it by yourself. You're going to be a little bit different with how you're viewing things. And I think a lot of us need to have, a lot of us men need to have that perspective of, it's not that we're telling you to sit at home and be alone and by yourself. What we're saying is really think about the stuff that you're processing emotionally in your mind, because how that ties back to who you are as a person is going to find, like, you're going to find your answers into what you need to continue or start to do, whether that's spending more time in the gym or just picking up a book and reading, bro. Absolutely. I think it's beautiful at the end of the day to be able to sit and just look around at the stuff that you have, be blessed, but at the same time be like, okay, how can I continue to move forward? So
I agree.
That's a good question. All right, question 2. This one's funny. Would you still go out if there were no women there? And this would be out to like either an event, night out, or just, you know, something that you obviously are intentionally going out for a vibe.
Yeah, my answer is absolutely. Absolutely, I would, because I'm not like, the reality is, I mean, some people don't, and again, we don't. Some people go out for a specific reason,
right.
But I'm not in the space of like, and we don't ever talk about, when we go out, we're going out to just have a good time.
Yeah,
we're not going to seek anything.
Yeah.
If whatever comes our way, that's just what it is. But I'm never going out to seek something. So it's yeah, absolutely. If anything, I'm looking to have a good time with my boys. that's what it's about. It's engaging and having a good time with the homies. I'm not worried about like, nah. So yeah, absolutely. Now, does that make it better in certain environments? Of course. Yeah. In certain elements, absolutely. But nah, if I'm with the homies, we chilling, we having a good time. That's not what it's predicated on for me.
For sure.
So yeah, absolutely I would. And oftentimes it's some of the most memorable times that us or just if anybody watching it reflects on is with you and your boys.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
For sure.
It's not, you know, there are times to where that might be a memory of other things. But when you think about real memories on going out and having a good time, and it's you reflecting on, bro, remember when we did this?
Yeah.
Remember when we were there?
Yeah.
It's predicated on you with the homies. So yeah, absolutely I would, for sure. Yeah.
I believe him. I would definitely still go out, bro. I work from home, so I just need the interaction in itself. But I do think it's normal for guys to have moments in their lives where it's like, hey, bro, like, let's go. No,
for sure.
Let's go see what the aesthetic looks like at this spot, knowing already that there's going to be some type. But to, I guess, be on a premeditated state where you're like, no, we're only going out to see women.
A premeditated mission.
And it's like, you go out and the ratio is not adding up and you're like, okay, I'm gonna head out. Like there's not enough here. I think you're just asking for a night it's not going to be in the present moment. You're basing your fun off of an exterior thing that may or may not be there. Yeah. And that's why like I agree with you in that sense, because man, the best nights that I've had going out have been last minute things of like, yo, everyone's free. Like, hey, let's go grab a drink or just have some food. And we get out and it's amazing. Absolutely. And not even from the standpoint of like, you know, maybe we got approached by people or women or whatever, had a conversation with a woman, but more on the standpoint of like, bro, actually that was really fun. Like we had good time. It was good music. We all looked good. And I think when, you know, you just stop thinking about women as a man, it's just crazy, bro, because I think it's another conversation for another time, but I'll touch on it a little bit right now. We put so much emphasis on, you know, what woman, like who are we going to go talk to? Who are we going to buy a drink for? Like what are we going to try to get attention from? And I think we're just doing ourselves a disservice from actually having a great time, because, you know, these places are out here for a reason, right? We're going to socialize regardless. We're going to come across something or someone to talk about at any given point of the night. But I think when we're so closed off with like the end result, right? Or like a mission itself, I think it puts you in a situation that's a disservice to your friends and the homies. It's like, bro, I barely get to see you, and this is what you're deciding to do is just, and you know which guys I'm talking about that are out there like,
for sure.
Oh yeah, bro, that's cool. Like, you know, you got that promotion, but you know, oh, look at her. Oh, I'll be right back. And it's like, bro, at what point do you sit here and you're like, pick your boy, pick the homies? And I know that sounds cliche, but I'm saying it in the most healthy manner I can possibly say it. You are outside to be with your homies and just enjoy time.
For sure.
Like, you know, do what you got to do, handle what you got to handle, but be respectful to your friends' time. So that way, 10 years from then, you're prioritizing them, because I feel like that's when you get in situations where dudes get with the girl, adios, don't hear from them ever again.
Yeah, man.
You know what I'm saying? So it's tough, but that's how I feel.
Yeah, no, the reality is, and I'll just leave it at this, because I believe this is the true reality. Yeah. When you go out with your boys, and if you are who you are, if you dress a certain way, if you look a certain way, if you just operate in a certain way, and you're just out having a good time with your boys, by default, it's going to attract a certain energy. So there's going to be a certain level of approach that you're just naturally just going to like, it's just naturally going to happen if you're just who you are. For sure. So the point of going out to seek, that doesn't make any sense. It should be about, no, you out with your boys, you're kicking it by default. If you are who you are, you know what's going to, like, you already know. You just by default know what's going to happen. There's really no conversation about it. There's really no angle or aim to it. So that's why it's about, just going out with your boys. Yes, will women be around? By default, it's only men and women on earth as far as people. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. So by default, you know that's going to be there. those options are going to be there. But when you're with your boy or you're with your homies, kick it. If you are who you are, by default, you know the interactions that are going to happen. You're not seeking that out. It's just about you're hanging with your boys. So that's why, to answer the question, absolutely. Because by default, if you're anywhere on earth, if you go out and you go somewhere, women are going to be around. That's just what it is. Yeah. And that's love and that's cool. But you're kicking it with your boys. So if you're having a good time, you know the interactions that are going to happen. Why even speak on it? Why even go out with that on your, with that on the forefront? You know what's going to be, you already know that they're going to be there. So it's like, nah, you kick it with your boys. You pregame, you do whatever before. You already know. So to go out on, like you said, a premeditated mission, it's like, why?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Why? Genuinely. And so for, nah.
I would question if those are even your homies for real. If all of you are on the same mindset of like, nah, bro, this is the mission for tonight.
Yeah, go out by yourself and be on the hunt. That's what you want to do.
I would say they wouldn't go. They're only there because they have somebody that's next to them.
For sure. That would be my question. Why?
Right. Yeah.
If that's your only angle and your only aim, go hunt by yourself.
I think you would have.
We're not pack hunters.
No, I think we would have. I mean, not we, but guys would have more success if they hunted by themselves.
If that's the only angle that you're taking, go do that. Mm-hmm. But for the homies that are kicking it with their boys genuinely, that's what it's about. There's really no need to speak on that because you just know. There's really no need to even like engage in that because you already know the possibilities, or really the realities, not even the possibility, the reality of the situation. But no, just go out and genuinely have a good time with your boys. That's how I look at it. Like, bro, we've never spoken about that. Anytime we never, ever.
Never in the chat saying, how many you think girls are going to be out tonight? Like, come on now.
And respectfully, if somebody was following us, I mean, we don't even need to speak on that. But the reality is we go out and genuinely have a good time. Genuinely have a good time. I know people there's content going on and people having the camera and showing it. Like, we could do it, but it's like, what? Like, nah, for what? For what?
Certain things just don't need to be.
Come on now. Come on. And that's why I say just go out with your boys and have a good time. And I'll leave it at that.
Yeah. I got one follow-up question to that because I heard you say something. But do you feel like the dudes that are out there doing that, do you feel like the issue with that is because they probably don't have game or have ever had game with women like that?
I wouldn't attribute to that. I would just say we're in a space now in society where everything is I don't want to say everything, that's a hyperbole, but we're in a very, very attention-based society now.
Oh, that's true.
So now it's more so just about showing certain things. You know what I mean? It's not about people not being able to do certain things because that might not be the case. More so now it's just about showing everything. And it's like, don't get me wrong, I understand wanting to show certain things or show like you're maneuvering a certain way. That's a natural confidence. I can relate to it.
Yeah.
I understand that. However, you use the word, and I think it's very, very key to this, the premeditated vibes. That's what it is, to where it's like, when we reflect back into like, we're not going back in time, but when we reflect back on high school or earlier age, it was in the moment.
Yeah, that's true.
Everything was in the moment. And I think when you're doing things in the moment, times are better. When things aren't premeditated and when there aren't, and when you also factor cameras with things premeditated, that's when it could get like cloudy and muddy. Yeah. And I think we're in that space now to where
nothing's genuine.
Exactly. And now there's content getting involved with that in the sense of it's content now. And it's like, it's like a water that's just murky. It's like a gumbo of just murky, just situation. And it's just like, it gets tricky. Mm-hmm. So I don't really see why it's that necessary. I understand it. Don't get me wrong. I understand it, but I think it just makes things long-term harder just for life, because now it's a space of, let me show. And that itch never goes away.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you said it best. And I mean, I wasn't going to bring it up maybe off camera, but you tied some really good points to the explanation that you gave to the question. But I want to finish with this small situation that I saw on TikTok the other day. And you mentioned it. There's just a lot of people nowadays, and living in Phoenix, this is normal for us. You have the guys out here and the women out here that are just making content on the side of the street, outside of clubs or bars or whatever. And you just look at it and you're like, whatever. When in reality, we should be looking at it like, this is crazy. Like, this is wild that we're doing stuff like that. Yeah. But to get to the point, there's this woman that I saw. She's, I think, 36, 37 years old, older woman, she's really beautiful. And this dude had done one of those man on the streets with the meta glasses, and like he basically makes content to go up and hit on women.
For sure.
And his whole thing is like giving men confidence and teaching them how to hit on women respectfully. So I'm watching the video because it's stitched, and she shows the interaction that she had with him. And I mean, there was nothing wrong with it. Like, I think the most he did was like kiss her hand, like on the top of her hand or whatever. But I mean, he spoke with her with confidence, was respectful towards it. And I'm listening to her video, and she had no idea that he was wearing meta glasses. So her biggest thing was she didn't appreciate how what he did wasn't out of genuineness. Absolutely. It was out of content. You were here to curate a moment and to showcase and exploit me. And
understandably.
Absolutely. So I'm watching her video, and already I'm like, okay, my mindset's always on, there's two sides to every story. How can I think about this as a man, as a, not as a woman, but like understand where she's coming from. And when I'm thinking about it, bro, and I've seen guys like him all the time posting content, I'm like, yeah, that's not cool. It's really not cool to sit here. And I mean, she was kind of into him too. Like she seemed like she was into him. But I would hate to find a video of me on the internet and thinking it was consensual for sure, but thinking that, oh, he actually was just negating the fact that this is real when I thought it was real. That makes you feel kind of phony and used for real. So
it's exploiting and non-consensual. And that combination is like, that's a wicked combo. You know what I mean? When you look at both of those, like, come on now, like, you don't see somebody's phone, so for sure you don't see that they're recording, but they're getting you off their glasses. It's like,
you can't trust anything nowadays, bro. Like, and there's ways. So like the meta glasses have a thing like on the top of their frame where it shows the light. You can cover that up. There's like stickers that they sell to cover it up, so they just look like normal glasses now. So she's talking about this, bro, and the way she's explaining everything makes so much sense. And now I'm like, I'm against all this kind of like Duke Dennis type stuff, and like dudes just out here recording women and them hitting on them. And I know there's women out there. I saw the comments, and there's women like, girl, it's not that big of a deal or whatever. Guys saying like, oh, well, there was nothing bad. There's no ill behind it. And it ended up coming out that like, apparently what he cut out from the video was she grabbed her hand. He grabbed her hand and like rubbed it down his shirt to like, oh, I have abs. Like I work out. And I'm like, oh, see, like you definitely curated the vibe to make it look beneficial for you,
for sure,
and align with the content that you're sharing. But there was more to the story that you didn't share. So in a way, it's fixed. It's not real. And now after seeing that video, I'm like, bro, I would never do a man on the street for one. I would never condone a guy who is a homie of mine to sit here and go up to women, recording them without thinking that they're being recorded. Like that's kind of phony to me, bro.
And you gotta start asking people to take their glasses off.
That's what I'm saying, bro. Like, like I can't. It's rough out here, bro. Like, and I'm sure there's women doing it too, like to guys or whatnot. But man, you can't even have genuine conversations anymore without it getting thrown onto a video and people getting 2.5 million views on it and making money off of it. It's like, where do we go from there? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think anything that's, I've even seen things to where, people, give, and they have a camera out and they're showing it. And on one end, some might say, oh, it's okay to like, they're showing good deeds and things like that. But I also look at it, and I had a conversation with one of my boys about this, and I'm just very much in the moment type person. So I don't even think about cameras when, certain things come about. But I also think about how things can be perceived. Now, the person that's receiving the gift or receiving whatever it is, they might not want to be seen receiving the gift.
For sure.
For a multitude of reasons. Yeah. Because sometimes when you give, or when you give, it could look like that person is in need. And that person who's in need, whether they're in need or not, they might not want to be perceived in that moment as that's a very vulnerable thing. And again, it could just be somebody just blessing them, or it could be something that they actually need. But the person that's receiving it might not want to be visualized or contextualized in that space of being given a gift.
Yeah.
So if the person who's showing it doesn't know that, whether they know it or not, I just look at it like, why not just be in the moment with it? For one, when you bless or when you bless people, God will bless you.
Yeah, for sure.
That's ultimate.
It'll come back to you.
Truthfully, that's ultimate. Now, there are ways to show good things that you're doing. There's ways to do it. It's a very fine line, but there are ways to do that. When you're really blessing, or you want to give back, or you want to do certain things, there's ways to do it to where it's in light of actually giving, or it's actually showing love. But when when it becomes performative, to me, I look at it and I'm like, why not just be in the moment?
Yeah.
Why not just bless that person? Ultimately, God is going to bless you back. And regardless of how it is, it's not even about that. It's about you just giving.
You want to do out of your genuine heart. You want to do it
genuinely. Whatever comes from within, that's not what it doesn't even matter. It's about ultimately you just being a light, you being a vessel and blessing. So when I see cameras come out and things like that, I don't question it, but I do wonder, like, why?
Yeah.
That was kind of like, that kind of goes against saying I don't question it, but then saying why. But I do wonder, like, what's the angle?
Yeah.
Because if you really want to just bless somebody, just bless them off the strength. Just show love off the strength. Now, if somebody happens to show it, or there happen to be, there's nothing wrong with being seen giving, but purposely trying to give, I just always wonder, like, what's the angle and what's the point of that?
Yeah, it's a contradicting method if you think about it, because I mean, you can look at like people like Mr. Beast, right? Or like, big time YouTubers and just content creators that do this for a living, or they just go out and just gift a bunch of different things. And I mean, at some point there's a scheme behind it, right? Because it's a write-off, or it is what it is. But I think I just don't agree with the fact that there are people out here who are going and, gifting cars or just money or whatever, and putting a camera in people's faces and trying to build empathy off of, it's not even about what you gave the person. It's about, hey, look what I did. And that's how it comes off to your whole like perception and like what people think. That's what I think. Absolutely. I'm like, oh, you just wanted us to see you do something good, huh? Sure. Like that's what you wanted, because forget the person who you gifted some water and food to. And it's always homeless people that I always get so frustrated with, because I'm like, bro, you could have done this and been blessed at some point in your day or week or month or year, but you chose to throw a camera in someone's face who homeless people aren't out here trying to get on camera. They are trying to survive. And some of them are okay with being homeless. And I don't blame when some of these creators, I saw one the other day where they tried going up to a man and offering him some food. And he was like, get that camera out of my face, bro. Who do you think you are? And they're just like, why are you being ungrateful? And I'm like, bro, these are human beings. Like, you're not sitting here, you're attacking them like, hey, let me make a video and make a fool out of you. That's kind of what you're saying to some of these people. So I question whether or not it's really out of the kindness of their heart, or if they're just trying to get views out of it, because it's too easy to go viral on social media nowadays, bro. It's not hard. You can do something outlandish, or you can do stuff like that and eventually catches the right audience. And people are going to argue one way or the other. But I think if you have a foundation of like what God really views in his eyes as a blessing, and what he views as something that's a selfish act, I think he would, or most people would assume that you're doing it out of a selfish act.
Yeah. And your heart could be pure, but I think it gets cloudy when that camera comes on.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And it's not about the recipient of who's watching it, but it is hard for somebody to differentiate. Are you giving out of the pureness of your heart, or are you giving because you want to show? And when that camera comes out, there's literally no way to differentiate that. You really can't. And so I genuinely think that, and for me in totality, for gift giving, I would never put a camera attached to that. I just wouldn't. And that's also a personality thing, but I'll never attach a camera to gift giving, because for one, it takes away the moment. It takes away the moment. And then first and foremost, the person that's being shown, you genuinely don't know how they feel about that.
Yeah.
You don't know if they want it. Most times, again, even if it's not a place of vulnerability, does that person want to be seen being gifted a gift?
For sure.
I don't think most people do, genuinely. It's just the fact that we're in a space to, now when something happens, everybody does this and raise their phone. So the person that's receiving can't be like, yo, it's just such a norm now. And I don't, no pun intended, I don't subscribe to it, but that's just the times that we're in now. Like there's so much technology it's almost a norm now.
Yeah, it is.
Something happens, the phone is going up.
It's any way to take advantage of capturing a moment, again, to get virality or, build some type of storyline that makes you look good as a person. Because that's what being a content creator is, bro. And sometimes I even have to check myself of like, why am I doing this? Am I doing this because this is part of my day, or is it a performative act to just, put and curate a lifestyle together that people think that I live? That's honest. And it can get really messy. And I think, there are times where we make mistakes or we, tend to do certain things. But I think all in all, like you said, if you're coming from a pure heart, those questions that you're asking yourself, in your gut and just in your mind are going to come and be, pretty strong. And
for sure,
they're going to make you do the right thing at the end of the day. But I know we got off topic, guys, on something else. That's what happens when we're sitting here having some fun talking about things that matter. At the end of the day, it's not anything to be overlooked at any given point. But I think we can all, again, as men, we can learn from this. We can understand that when we do decide to go out, like we talked about, majority of this time, it's with intention, and making sure that those moments that you have with friends, hopefully that you have at least one homie or just, a couple of buddies that you can go out with, just being present with them in those moments, because it's not easy to be outside with your people. And there are a lot of people out here, again, that are struggling with this loneliness pandemic that would kill to have at least one genuine friend in their line. So Julian, take us out, bro. And just give us some words of wisdom and inspiration before we head out for the week.
Yeah. Well, kind of like going based off the latter part of what we were talking about, I would just urge, for one, guys, and just people, anybody listening, for one, if you do go out and you do want to do certain things, it's a 2-part answer. For this first portion of what we were talking about, just curate it to a space that makes sense for you. There's nothing wrong with going out. There's nothing wrong with having fun, but just curate it to a vibe that's suitable for how that fits you. Secondarily, that what we were talking about, I would urge people to just stay in the moment. Truthfully, stay in the moment. Like, it's okay not to have your phone out on certain things. It's okay to not have a picture or a video. It's okay to just be in the moment, because the reality is that memory holds weight much more. And I think it has much more of it resonates much more in the mind when you have a memory and when you can reflect back on certain things. I mean, we all have moments in time and memories that we can reflect on that we do, whether we're around people or not. And it's not based off of a picture or a video. It's just based off you remembering a certain situation. Yeah. So I would just urge people to stay in the moment, because the blessing of memories, that's why God's given us imagination and memory, is to be able to hold that picture book in our mind. So stay in the moment. It's okay with just being in the moment.
I love you guys. Keep being yourself, be unapologetically yourself, and always stay blessed, stay humble. We love you. Have a good night.
God, as always.
We'll talk, brother.
Love.